Good evening, everyone. We have an echo. This is High Point Mayor Jay Wagner. I'd like to welcome everyone who is with us online and who is here present in the room to the High Point City Council meeting for December 20th. Before we begin, I would like to ask everyone please to rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're gonna get right into it, but before that, I want to let everyone know who is listening online that everyone is present here at City Hall. All the members of council except for the Mayor Pro Tem Britt Moore. He has got a cold. He's under the weather, so he will not be with us tonight. But the other 8 council folks are here, and we'll be ready to start. Councilman Jones is willing to step in for the Mayor Pro Tem and handle the Finance Committee items, and so I'm going to turn the meeting over to Councilman Vic Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our Finance Committee did meet. Mayor Pro Tem was already not feeling well, so I took over and chaired in his absence. Items 2021-551 through item 2021-559 were all approved on the consent agenda with favorable recommendation.
Okay. So there's a motion to approve the consent agenda items from the Finance Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on any of these or any questions?
The only comment I'd like to make is that for those listening and in the room that may not know what's on that consent agenda, 2 of the items has to do with South Main Street, and as people know, that's part of my ward, and I know that it's felt neglected, and so I just want South Mainers to know that we're working on it. So thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. I believe that's it for Finance. Okay. So we'll go to the Prosperity and Livability Committee items, and that will be handled by Council Member Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We met at our appointed time and discussed adding Juneteenth to our city paid holiday. Is there a presentation? Anyone? If not, then I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second. There's a motion and a second to approve the item 2021-560. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I like the idea. I think it's a cool idea. I was asking Wesley earlier, Monica, a little bit. I have my reservations initially because I haven't seen any data on it. I would like to know, how does this impact our city services? How does this impact our budget? You know, if we're going to vote on something, I think it's our fiduciary responsibility to be able to answer that question to our constituents. You know, what does this extra day off entail? And do we have that data tonight?
We do.
Mr. Almeida is coming to.
So, members of councils, this is Tasha Logan, City Manager for the City of High Point. I'll ask Eric Almeida if he'll give a presentation on this item. There was a more in-depth presentation that was provided at P&L. Currently, the city has 9 paid holidays, 11 days off annually because we do provide more than one holiday around Christmas and Thanksgiving. We also looked at the top 20 cities by population to determine whether or not the city of High Point was aligned with the number of days that we provide off to our employees. And typically you have between 11 and 13 paid holidays that are provided for city employees. There were a number of jurisdictions that added the Juneteenth holiday last year as part of their budgetary processes. 11 of the cities that we typically compare ourselves to provide Juneteenth as a holiday. And we did note that the city of Charlotte was adding this as part of 2022. So with that, I'll ask Eric if he will talk a little bit about the financial impact of the holiday, adding this holiday to our current calendar.
Right, so anytime you add a holiday to the offerings, there's not necessarily a direct financial impact. It's more of a loss of productivity impact, because we do have a number of departments that obviously would have another day that they would not work. Although we have a number of departments that are 24/7 operations, so those departments have to cover those shifts, and then those employees are given another day off with pay. So it's more of a scheduling matter, less of a direct budgetary impact matter.
So what are the 9 days that we have off?
So currently, we have New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Good Friday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day. We get 2 days for Thanksgiving and 2 days for Christmas.
And so you were saying most municipalities, or the average, I think you said between 9 and 11 paid days?
It's typically between 11 and 13
11 and
days.
13. So what are the other days, for instance, that we're not off, that some of these other municipalities are celebrating with a day off?
Most cities, if I may, most cities have those exact same holidays off. Some cities will offer a 3-day, 3 days at the Christmas vacation.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much the typical one that is, just, that's different.
And typically, they title that one just a floating holiday. Veterans Day is one that most municipalities have added. We added
just
that as
did
part of the
too.
budget last year. And then Juneteenth seems to be the other one that most municipalities are adding. But all the other ones, we're consistent. Ours is a little different because we provide the 2 days at Christmas, and some provide 3 by having that floating holiday.
And obviously, police and fire and those guys, they're still going to be on shifts and everything, I know that, but do you see any significant impact to delays with city services with adding an extra holiday?
I don't. I think we'll, again, have to adjust scheduling as we do now to be able to accommodate for additional holiday, but I don't anticipate any service impacts.
Okay.
And if I can make one comment, I was in that meeting, and I think the thing that impressed me the most about adding this was what our human HR director, Angela Cookwood, said, and that is that a lot of municipalities are offering that, and we want to be competitive. We want to get, good workers, and I think that makes our plate look good.
Absolutely.
Has it been discussed to have an alternative to a day off, to have a time and a half pay for working on the day? I say that simply because the city right now has we're not providing full city services as it is with leaf pickup, trash pickup. We're having a very difficult time working enough hours. We're working overtime as it is, so that's my real concern.
I think I can address that question. I think the challenge with where we are now typically has just to do with the number of employees that we would need. We're not able to recruit employees as we were in the past. In some departments, such as public services and police, we're running somewhere between 9 to 10% in terms of our vacancy rates there. But again, adding an additional holiday just means that we have to schedule around those days. But I don't think it would have an adverse impact on our service delivery, because where we are now is really based on our inability to be able to recruit and fill the number of vacant positions that we have. And that's something that we're seeing, not just with the city of High Point, but a number of organizations are in that challenge right now.
Okay. It doesn't make sense to me when we're in a point where we're picking up trash starting at 6 a.m. because we don't have enough people to pick up trash, that we're removing another day of service. That's all.
Call the vote?
Yeah. Call the vote.
Was there an actual motion? Yeah.
There was a motion to approve.
Oh, okay.
And a second.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sorry, lost track of that for a minute. Y'all are looking at me and I'm looking at you. All right. Any further questions and comments?
I'll give a comment, Mr. Mayor. I
Yeah.
think, I'm glad that we've come to this point in which we get to approve this motion. I think in a country in which we have values that we all appreciate and that we all get to celebrate. This is just another, I think, big step in that, and that we get to celebrate freedom, and we get to celebrate, I think, in a way that is reminiscent and one that is comparable to many of our peers in other governments and other municipalities. And so I look forward to celebrating Juneteenth this coming 2022 with the rest of High Pointers in our international city, one that's a shining light upon a hill for all the world to see. So thank y'all.
Okay, all those in favor of approval of the motion for Juneteenth, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
No, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was there one? Okay, Councilman Hudson is against. Okay, 7-1. You gotta speak up, Wesley.
Sorry.
Be louder.
Sorry.
All right.
That
Okay,
has never been labeled one of my faults in the past. So nothing further from
nothing
P&L,
further
Mr.
from
Mayor.
P and L. Okay, we'll now go to the Community Development Committee items. For that, I will recognize the Councilman Chris Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make the motion to pull items 2021-532 and 2021-499 out of pending.
Okay,
Second.
there's motion and a second to pull the two items, item 532 and 499 out of pending. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
All right, first up is item 2021-532, ordinance demolition of dwelling, 315 Luis Avenue. I'll turn the floor over to Lori Looseman.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Let's see if this thing is on. Okay, that's not working.
I like your shirt, Lori.
Thank you. Okay. We'd originally inspected this property at 315 Louise Avenue on April 6th of 2021. We'd been notified of a fire here by the High Point Fire Department. We held a hearing on April 27th of 2021 that no one appeared for. We then issued an order to repair demolish on the same date with a compliance date of May 27th of 2021. We did not hear from anyone until December 6th, which is when I had it scheduled to come before City Council the last meeting. I spoke with the owner, Mr. Stephen McConnell. He stated that the insurance company had just found the check that they had lost and that they were finally paying him for the house. He also stated he had a buyer for the house who planned to repair it, and so I agreed to place it in pending to allow time to meet with the new potential buyer and see their plans for repairing the house and getting their time frame. We had an appointment set for December 7th. Mr. Leggett is the gentleman that I was speaking to. He called and rescheduled for the 10th, but then he did not show for that meeting. On the 15th of December, I received a phone call from an agent inquiring about the property, real estate agent. He had a client who he said is interested in purchasing the property from Mr. Leggett, who is a wholesaler, and that he wanted to understand what was going on with the property. So he was a little confused. He was being told one thing from Mr. Leggett, and then he called me and was being told something slightly different. So I did explain what was going on with the case. I then received a call from Mr. Leggett, who stated he'd been having a hard time reaching the seller, and that he had various other issues going on, and that's why he blew off, and those are his words, the meeting that we had. I advised Mr. Leggett that he had misrepresented his intentions to repair the property when we set up the meeting, and that I would be placing it back before council to hear the case. I then received a call from Mr. Martinez, who was the possible purchaser from Mr. Leggett, and he said that the guy mentioned the house. The guy selling the house mentioned the city demolishing the house. And I let Mr. Martinez know that we'd allowed time for Mr. Leggett to purchase the property, and that there'd been some not complete truths told. And then Mr. McConnell, who was the original owner, called me. I know this gets to be much. And so I advised him that it was just going to be going back before. I received another call from Mr. Leggett. It continued on. But I did call Mr. McConnell and advise him Friday afternoon that it was going to be coming back before City Council to be heard, and that he had the right to appear. And if he wanted to pass that information on to someone else, they could, but I did not have to notify them. So I'm not sure if anyone is here to speak on this property right now.
All right, thank you, Laura. Is there any questions for staff?
What's the status on taxes?
They're complete.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? All right, is there anyone here to speak for this item?
Is this Mr. McConnell? Okay.
All right. All right, sir, if you would step to the podium and give your name and address for the record.
Hi, Steve McConnell. I'm at 1828 Cedro Drive now in High Point. And he's been great working with me well, and so was the gentleman who originally. I've had a really difficult life. I was run over by a car 14 months old, and I had every bone in my body broken. All my joints went the wrong way, my lower half backwards. I couldn't go to school because of 2 autoimmune diseases that I've been fighting my whole life. I read a couple thousand books, got my way through college, and got 2 degrees. I've been fighting these diseases my whole life. And now they have the cures. They're on the other side. She's been working with me, and I sold the house. I need some time not to let it get knocked down so I can... Every little penny that I have is a treatment that I'm going to lose, because now the treatments are there. The first time in my life I have a chance to live. I've been in pain my whole life, and I'm just asking for mercy from the town to give me a break and just extend this a little longer so I can go forward with this. And like I said, I know she has been working great with me. I was very actually surprised. It's the 6th state that I've ever lived in. And from the police department to the town, I've never been treated so well. But I am asking for an additional time because I need it for my health.
Okay, questions to the...
How much time do you propose to ask for?
Well, what this guy's telling me is they want to close next month, and they're either going to knock it down or they're going to build it up. You know, I did not understand when I met this guy. It was a real estate group. That's what I thought it was. A bunch of investors working together. I had no idea it was the way. You know, he was like I guess he's a middleman now, but he has the contract, and I'm under contract. And it's like what I have left, I have no more income coming, and this is the only chance I have.
So you think you're going to sell this property next month?
It's sold. It's on a contract. There's a closing date.
Right. I don't have a problem
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
letting them go through with the sale. And if somebody's got some money in the pocket that can fix it up,
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate it. That's what I need.
Mr. Lucemoore, have you seen a copy of the contract? Can you get a copy of the contract to us?
Absolutely.
Is it to Mr. Martinez, do you know? So it's Mr. Leggett to
Dan Leggett.
Deontay Leggett?
Yeah.
And then to the next person?
I don't
You don't
know
know
anything
anything
about
about that? Okay. If you still uphold it and pass the ordinance for demolition, and that I can still meet with whoever the buyer ultimately is, and make sure that they do have a time frame and expectations to work. Mr. Martinez, when I spoke with him the other week, if he's the same person who's going to be buying it, stated that they plan to fix it. But I've not met with anyone else just because things got so convoluted. So if you pass the ordinance for demolition, you can still sell it. And I would just need to meet with whoever the real buyer is going to be to set up a time frame so that we understand and they understand where the city is at with wanting the property repaired.
The city orders to be teared down, and it's a lot more expensive when they tear it down. The whole thing.
Well, no, what I'm saying, I'm sorry, is they may pass the order, they may or may not pass the ordinance for demolition, but there's an appeal period to Superior Court. In that basically 30 days, if whoever the final purchaser is comes to talk with me and sets down and does a time frame for when they plan to make repairs, start and finish, and benchmarks in between, we will work with them on that. And that way you can sell the property and then they understand what's going on, but they enter into it knowing there's a risk.
You understand everything? Okay. But that was going to be my actual next question to you, Laura. It's like, what are we looking at time frame on the demo order?
Just so you know, I mean, it's my opinion. I know a lot about houses.
Could you step up to the mic? so
Yes,
we hear you?
sorry. You would.
The house is really structurally fine. It's the roof. The flames never really got inside the house because whoever I bought this house from got lucky at an auction or something, and he had insulation about from here to the floor. It was about 4 or 5 feet thick. It was just layer upon layer. So the flames went above and burnt the whole roof off. It's just black soot that got inside and now water. But structurally, the house really is solid. It looks like it's old yellow pine, 100 years old, and you can't even nail it. I mean, you got a drill to even put a nail in that wood. So the house, I don't think, is in danger of falling over. Just wanted to throw that out there. It's my opinion.
Can I ask another question of Mr. McConnell? Well, you said that it has a closing date. What is the closing date that is set right now?
First week of January.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact date. But he said he wanted to have it closed sooner, which I would love.
All right. Is there, thank you. Is there anyone else to speak for or against this item? All right. I'll move forward with a motion for the demolition order under the understanding that you have a conversation with the code enforcement officer.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of the ordinance. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. The next item is 2021-499, demolition of dwelling 1221 Franklin Avenue. I'll turn it back over to Lori once again.
No, if you'll wait 1 second, I'll get it.
This property was originally heard at the November 15th meeting, and I reviewed all the information, and I recommended placing it in pending until I could gather further information. The owners stated at that time that there was an IRS lien that was placed on the property, which we had not known about, and we would have had to notify the IRS. Since then, that lien has been released. They did provide me with a copy of that. So dated from Alamance County Courthouse, dated December 8th. I did call Mr. Tejada on Friday and advised that the case will be coming back before council again tonight, and his wife is here to speak on the property. And at that time also, I think they had a potential buyer that was under contract, but since then that contract has fallen through because the time expired.
All right. Is there any questions for staff on this item? All right. Next we'll hear from I'm sorry, what did you say her name is? Tejada.
Tejada, yeah.
All right, if you state your full name and address.
Good evening. I'm Marelis Tejada. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Marelis Tejada, my husband Eddie Tejada. He's not here today because of work. We was here 30 days ago regarding the same house here at 1221 Franklin Avenue. We had the house in contract in that time, but the house have a lien from the taxes, a lien that we didn't know. So we request the tax to release the lien to us, but it take long time. So the contract was already expired on the 1st of December, and we received the paper from the taxes on the 2nd of December. So now I'm here to asking for more times, because we want to keep the house. We put it for sale to try to move fast. Like last time we was here, we request if the house doesn't sell, 6 months to fix it. It was not on our hands to get those papers. It was very hard to get with the taxes people. We called many times to receive that letter, and we received the letter 6 weeks after, and the contract was already expired. So the owner, we had to return the deposit back to them, and now I'm here to request some times from you guys.
Is your intent to still sell it?
That was the plan. The owner of the real estate, he's open to us, but it's hard to say that we're going to sell it tomorrow. because we don't know, you know. I'm here better to request time to fix the house. It's still on the real estate company. He said we can put it back for sale if we want. If the house doesn't sell or we want to fix it, he open to break the contract.
Okay. Is there any other questions for the, Mrs. Tyler?
So, Ms. Tyler, this is Councilman Holmes. So the contract is with the real estate company to either fix or sell? You have the option to do either?
Yes, he opened, we want to fix the house, but if you guys say that we're gonna give it not enough time because we need at least 6 months to fix it, then we can continue keep the house on the market. And he said if we decided to fix it next month, then he can, you know, the contract is open. It's not like you have a contract signed and you cannot do anything during period of time.
What is the intent of the investor? Is his intent to sell it?
No, but because the wood went up, the price to fix the house was very high. Because all the roof, we had to change it, the complete roof. So now the wood is going down from 42,000. They give the estimate first. Now it's 22. But we need to do the roof and we need to do inside. You know, so the whole total is like $52,000. Right now, me and my husband, we have 21,000, but we don't have the rest of the money, so we're working on it.
So you would need 6 months to finish raising the money to do the full repairs?
The plan is if you guys give off to the time, we're gonna change the roof, because the roof is 22,000. And then, the door, we put like wood on the door so nobody go in the house, and the window also, we put wood. Also, we willing to fence the house, so nobody trespass in the house. We put some signs in the front of the house, the private property. We try to do what we can to keep the house, and to not people come and vandalize the house. But you guys had the last decision. We don't want to lose it because we bought the house cash, and that was the little saving that we have. And then if you guys demolish the house, then we're not going to have anything because the land is between two houses. Nobody going to buy that land. The owner, then one neighbor, they're not going to be able to buy it, and the other one either. So I don't know what we're going to do with the land if we demolish the house. It's nothing commercial around there. They can buy the land to do something.
For clarification, this is a single-family house?
It's
Or is
a
it
duplex. It's a duplex.
It's a duplex,
Mhm.
okay.
How long have you all owned the house?
We bought it in 2019, but we bought it when the pandemic started. And we was not laid off. My husband didn't, but I was for 3 months. And then all the thing went up. So all the prices, it was crazy prices to fix the house. So that's why we stopped and we never continue, getting more estimated for any contract until things went down now and we have better price. So now I think it's looking better for us to fix it, if you guys give it the opportunity to.
What all could you all do in the next 30 days?
30 days. The roof, but other thing, those people, they busy too. They can say, oh, maybe 3 weeks, I can start it, 1 week. The last time when the person went, he said he was ready to do it in that week. But in that week, we had to go to see my daughter. She's in California, we had to go see her. And then when we came back, he said that he was booked. So, I cannot tell you, I had to speak to the contract and see, the frame time the person have. Because it's not that many available people to work right now also.
I have a question for Lori, because I think we've heard this before. And then it started in almost a year ago, January 27th. Y'all live in Burlington. Did you purchase this house as an investment to fix it up and sell it?
We bought it to fix it and planning to live in the house. But when we saw the neighborhood, after we analyzed everything, we decided to invest, to fix it and rental, because it's 2 apartments. And the house inside, it look better than outside. It's all concrete, the floor is concrete, the division is concrete. So inside is not like that much thing to do. The bathroom and the kitchen, but it's a lot of, the house is very like, I don't know how to say, like, have a structure inside. And even the person who went, the 2 persons that went, they say that they don't know why you guys want to demolish the house, because the house have a lot of potentials. But, I understand that time when I came, that you guys show a house that wasn't fire. I understand now why you guys don't want house to be like that. But
You all own any other investment properties?
no.
I hear what you say about the next 30 days and how it's out of your control. I mean, in many ways, this is always going to be a safety issue until it's not a safety issue. I almost wonder if, just like the last case, if it's worth us doing the order, and then if within 30 to 45 days they were to bring back some significant progress, we just rescind it maybe. In my mind, I'm looking at the summary of major violations. Maybe some of the stuff is able to get replaced, such as the ceiling material that I heard you mention, some of the plumbing fixtures. Perhaps we can look at it again, but I don't know. I mean, in some ways, to hear you say you don't know when someone can get started on it, because you could ask a contractor, but a contractor will say to you, we don't know when we can get started. I guess part of me gets that, because I know a lot of that's in high demand right now, but again, it's a safety issue until it's not a safety issue. So, and again, the conversation seems like it's been had here a number of times already. I don't know, Chairman, it's up to you if you want to.
Lori, what level of repairs would need to be done before the city would feel like this wasn't a safety issue, that we could, that the order would be rescinded because of the status of repairs on the house? What would they need to fix?
I would, probably 75% to 90% of the house, because my understanding of what our job is to improve housing. And if people go in and only fix what they have to do just to get by, they may then stop, and it has happened. They don't complete the housing, and then we're left there with a house that's still not being rented, or someone living in, and it's still not where in the housing stock that we want it to be, readily available. And typically, before we'll bring anything back, it has to almost be completely finished with all the renovations. And that's why I usually ask for a time frame, and to stick with that time frame. So that time frame is provided by the owner, and that's their time frame. We ask that they be as honest as they can with us and not tell us pie in the sky, because if they come in and tell me in 45 days they're going to have the whole house complete, we know that's not realistic. Right. And we did do this with the Tadas previously. I'd had it scheduled for August 2nd, and the owners had submitted a plan to local codes to begin the repairs and to have it completed in 12 months. They then applied for a permit. Permit wasn't issued due to non-payment. And then on October 18th, someone called me and said they were interested in buying the property. So that's where, and as you heard her say, that, so I'm still not hearing much difference on whether they plan to sell or whether they plan to repair, which is where it leaves us in a predicament that the house is still sitting there.
Mr. Hodder, have you explored the sale of the house? And if so, do you have any solid offers? Because it seems more likely that you would be able to sell the house in 30 days than make any major repairs that would give the city any idea that you would be able to complete those repairs. I mean, considering you don't have all the money saved to complete the repairs, it seems more likely you'd be able to sell the property, considering what the way the market is today.
Yes, but I cannot say that I'm going to sell the house in 30 days, because if I say that to you guys, I'm lying. If I say that I'm going to fix in 30 days, I'm lying too. It cannot happen. Even if I have the money in 30 days, the house cannot be complete finished. Like I told you, contractor, they're busy too. But I know if you guys give all 6 months, we can fix the house. Like I told you, we have some money, and we know that we can get the rest of the money, because, I spoke to my father, he's gonna help us. Yes, the house need a lot of things to fix, and I'm not gonna start the house, and I am not gonna finish. Like I say, I'm gonna start, and then 3 months I'm gonna stop. If I'm planning to do that, I prefer not to do it, because it's money that I'm gonna lose too, more money. I don't see the house there's any damage. I've been in the house a couple of times. It's damage on the house, but I don't think it's any danger on the house. Because we lock all the door. Nobody's gonna go inside. There's no electricity in the house. There's no plumbing in the house. Nothing's gonna, cause any damage to the neighborhood or to the area. But it's hard for me to say that I'm gonna do in 30 days. 30 days is not enough time to sell it or to fix it.
But it's been almost a year from January 25th, so that's kind of what puts us in a predicament.
Yeah, when we came to get the permit, and we never proceed with the payment, it was because we found the buyer. And the house was in the contract for 90 days. I had the paper with me. And that's why we never finished, continue with to get a permit, because we have a buyer. But it failed because the taxes never arrived in time. And they have, when you have a contract, it's 90 days. And exactly the December 1st, it was when they do. And they didn't want to continue buying the house because they're afraid they're not going to get enough time to fix it. So, a lot of things right now is not on my hands. I wanted to give you, beautiful picture. Yes, I'm going to fix it tomorrow. It's hard lose the house. One, because it's money that we're going to lose. And it's another thing hard for me to tell you I'm going to do in 3 months. I know 6 months we can do a lot. But you guys made the last decision,
Can I ask another question? I guess maybe Ms. Loosemore or someone else who can answer it. Do we ever, are all of our orders for demolition based on 60 days, or are we able to give another timeline on it, like 180 days?
So when we, per state statute and city code, when we issue an order to repair or demolish, it's originally for 30 days. And then that is to see, are they planning to fix the property? Are they not? Do they pull permits? Did they start making those repairs? And then we work with them and grant extensions from that time period. If they do what they say they're going to do, and that's all we can base our decisions on. So if we hear nothing back, they do nothing, then we still extend it out. I very rarely bring a case before you all that just expired 30 days ago. I typically give them 60, 90, 120 days to do something somehow. Sometimes they just choose not to respond until they get the notice that it's going to city council. In this case, we did work with them numerous times to try and give them additional time to make the repairs or to sell it, whichever they wanted to do, and it just never.
Yeah, but we've not issued an order to demolish yet, right?
I've issued, okay, so let me clarify. We have an order to repair or demolish that we issue after our hearing, and then you all pass an ordinance for demolition. So, and then after the ordinance for demolition is passed, they have an appeal period to Superior Court, which is typically 10 days, that they could appeal the decision if they chose to.
Yeah, so I think my question is around our ordinance. I'm wondering, because our ordinance, it sounds like has a little more teeth to it, if there's some sort of, iteration here in which we do the 30-day or 60 days, and then in 60 days, if it looks pretty good, there's not some extension thing on our ordinance. At that point, it just gets rescinded, or could our own ordinance just be extended another 60 days? I think that's my question.
If we put it in pending, it would just be in pending. It would come back to us in 60 days.
No, I'm not. that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying tonight, we vote on an ordinance to demolish, which means that if they do nothing in 60 days, that bad boy's coming down. But if in 45 days it looks really good, do we have the option just to extend it? What I want to avoid is us issuing and then rescinding because nothing happens. I'd rather see like it issued to let them know in 60 days it could come down unless they do something real. Then let's say in 45 days it looks really, really good because they've made real progress. I wouldn't want to rescind. I would want to say, okay, great, you got another 60 days or it's coming down. You see what I'm saying? To kind of keep that, because it sounds like what Ms. Loosemore just said is it doesn't get serious until we issue the ordinance.
No, that's not true. If I said that, I completely
The
apologize.
problem is too, though, I mean, if we do pending, that's a little more encouraging for them to want to fix it up. We approve this to demolish, I'm not gonna put good money behind bad, so they're already thinking this thing's gonna get demoed, they're gonna count their losses, not do the roof, not do anything. And I'm not saying that we should give them the extension, I'm just saying from a thought process of an investor, if we want to see this house fixed, we should put this in pending for 60 days and see what happens. If we don't believe that they're going to fix it, then let's get it demolished.
I thought it was already impending, wasn't it?
It was.
It was.
Okay,
January.
so here's the thing, because we kind of need to move forward. We've had this, like, all the way back to 2014, we've run into situations like this.
Sure.
The reason why we lean to the professional opinion of our staff, and we gave them the latitude to make those decisions as they move along, is so that we don't run into this, where we're doing the back and forth at the dais. When we look at the picture as a whole, a year passed, multiple opportunities were given, we understand the situation and we can appreciate it. But at the same time, we need to kind of stick with what we decided back then, and it really should be right now on moving forward, because the staff has handled all of these in the past, and this is the reason why we're moving forward. Have had positive progress when it comes to blight remediation. So, in my opinion, we need to move forward with the demolition order.
Is that a motion?
That's my motion, that we
Okay,
move forward
I'll
with
second
the
it.
demolition order. And then if they have the opportunity to talk with staff, just like the person prior, to adjust if possible.
There's a motion and a second for approval of the ordinance. Is there any further discussion?
I got a question. Can I ask one question for Lori real quick? Out of the success stories that you show us, that like, hey, this one, they fixed it up, look how good it is. How many of those have happened to ones that we have issued demolition order on?
I couldn't, I don't know if I would,
But there are some.
yeah, there are definitely some. I just don't know if I could give a number or percentage,
Sure,
but there's
that's all right.
some. And again, typically that happened, in my experience, is typically when the owner is, sometimes, unfortunately, their hand is forced, and they're like, okay, I've got to sell it, or I'm gonna lose money. So then they'll sell it to someone, they'll come in, and I usually ask them to come in before they do the closing, so they understand exactly what they're getting into. I don't try to make sure no one's blindsided, and tell them, and they'll come in, and usually they'll come in with a time frame. They have everything in order, they've done it before, and they know what they're gonna do. And typically, those are the success stories, and that they end up fixing the house and selling it, or they fix it up and rent it out.
Lori, if they were to put it on the market and to try to recoup the money that they've invested, and they were to find the seller in, say, 15 days, would that would that put a halt to the demolition process, or would the new buyer have to come in and request that it comes back before council to stop the demolition?
No, if you all pass an ordinance for demolition, and in 15 days they have a new buyer or potential new buyer, and I'm aware of it, and they come see me, and we sit down and we talk, I tell them everything they need to know about what's going on, they're honest with me, and they do what they say they're gonna do, then the house can get repaired. Unfortunately, it's those who maybe stretch it a little bit, or maybe aren't familiar or don't believe what we say we're gonna do, and then those are some of the ones that are not successful.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that Mr. Hada understood the options that are before you to not lose your investment.
Okay. Are there any further questions or comments?
I want to make two quick comments. I promise they're quick. Here is my thought. I appreciate your position. I know you will lose money. My concern is for your neighbors who also own homes in this neighborhood, and when a house has been vacant for a year and there's no occupancy in that house, that reduces their property value. And when this house sits here unoccupied, that means their houses are less, or are worth less money. That's my concern. The other thing that I will say is if I've made this commitment before, if staff recommends something, I'm going to vote for it. Bottom line. I'll leave it to Lori.
Can I say something else?
Very quickly.
Yes, I understand you're concerned about the neighbor because it's I'm the owner of the house and my neighbor had a house in that condition. It concerns me too. Soon when we had the house, we went there and we speak to the neighbor and, we trying to tell them, that we're working on it. Some people, I don't know, they do some graffiti. We don't live here. They send the letters to all the city. We came the next day to paint the graffiti because I know, the neighbor is not fair for them. So we try to maintain the house clean, and I spoke to the neighbor, and one neighbor, because the other house is centered next to that one, and they very, very good people. They understand. Even, we communicate. We trying to not lose the money. And I don't think it's fair for poor minor people to try to grow. And, I don't say that you guys don't let it grow, but it's hard for us. It's not the same thing of people who have money and say, oh, I'm an investment person, yeah, I'm going to fix it. If you guys demolish the house, it's your decisions. Not agree with that. I cannot change your opinion or your decision. But my question to you guys is, when you guys demolish the house, what you guys think they are going to do with that land? I'm not going to have money to build a house from the ground. No way. So if you guys do that, you guys can keep the land, because what are you going to do with it? Nothing. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Okay, anyone else with questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the ordinance, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move now to the planning and development items. The items, everything is in pending, so I guess we'll need a motion to take items 473, 474, 504, and 506 out of pending, and I make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of taking these items out of pending, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, those items are now out of pending. All of these items are linked. This is the rezoning and related matters of annexation and whatnot concerning the southeast corner of West Penny Road or of West Wendover Avenue and Penny Road. So I'm going to let staff and Mr. Terrell take this over. And the public hearing was continued from our previous cases, and so the public hearing is still open, and I'll give people an opportunity to speak. And Mr. Ferguson, do you want to begin, or do you want to let Mr. Terrell begin?
Is there a staff presentation?
There already was a staff presentation, so I know there's been some negotiations regarding transportation issues and some other things. Why don't we have a short presentation maybe between the two of you and bring us up to date?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tom Terrell, 529 West Parkway Avenue, with the law firm Fox Rothschild, representing Shamrock PD, which is here tonight, represented by Mr. Dennis Bunker. Thank you for that continuance last month, Mayor Wagner. I'm here to say that we think that we are near the goal line, but I'd like to put this into some context. I've been practicing law for 36 years, 34 of which have been in the area of land use and zoning. I have done this in 4 states now. I have practiced in somewhere between 350 and 400 jurisdictions, probably around 40 to 50 public-private agreements that would fall in that category, and I've been working on this for 2 years. I will say with great confidence that I cannot remember a single project in all this time and in all of that footprint that has had so many complicating factors, that has had so many challenges, that has had so many twists and turns and so many near deaths as this project. Over this 2 years, we have learned a lot from each other. We have all become better at what we do, but I think tonight we are on the 1-inch line, and I'm hoping that we can fall over the goal line in just a minute for what I will describe in advance as a collaborative win-win. Of course, that is if you vote for the annexation and if you vote for the rezoning of these properties. To be clear, we have worked out the transportation conditions well in advance. They were in your packet at the last meeting. We have handed out the revised transportation conditions. I have given copies. Mr. Ferguson, your attorneys, Ms. Verling, all have copies of those revised conditions, as do you. And I believe that each of you has been given a copy of a dedication agreement that has been worked out with the legal team and primarily with an attorney in my office, so that, which actually changed how we were looking at this, and that made a huge, huge difference. I'm glad to answer any questions, but if you don't have any, I'd like to turn this over to Dennis Bunker, who has a couple of words.
Any questions for Mr. Terrell? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Terrell.
So thank you, Tom, and thank you, Mayor Wagner and members of High Point City Council. My name is Dennis Bunker. I live at 1140 Dilworth Crescent Row in Charlotte. My company is Bunker Land Group, and I'm the managing partner for the petitioner, the applicant, Shamrock Petey. I've been, while I live in Charlotte, I grew up in Salisbury, right down the road from you, and I've been working on projects in High Point, the Greater Triad area, for the better part of the last 25 years. Before I get started, let me just thank you all for your public service. Y'all are all here as volunteers, making big decisions about the future of this city, and I certainly appreciate that. When we apply our time and talent and resources to things that are bigger than us, then it's just things that are greater than ourselves. It's better for everybody. So thank you for your public service. So we're thrilled to finally be in front of City Council with our development project, known by it's had a working title of Palladium South for a couple of years. And we're also here with a solution, to a critical road in your transportation plan, a road that I think has been on the books since June 1 of '95. So we're here with a couple big things, a development project and a solution for your road, and so that's a very long time. And finding a workable solution that Tom alluded to, the Samet Drive project and my development project, we've been working on it for 797 days and about $600,000 of private capital. And some things it's just better not to know in advance. You probably wouldn't do them, but as I stand here tonight, I have no regrets, and we're thrilled again to be here. Public-private endeavors, they take a lot of work. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of give and take, and it's just because the nuances of public sector work and private sector work, they can be so different. But I'm convinced that we've arrived at the best place for all concerned with the city building Samet and us donating, the right-of-way. And that's what municipalities do. They put in public infrastructure, they build roads, and developers bring perpetual income stream and jobs and rooftops. And to pay for that infrastructure, to pay for those roads. So in a nutshell, those benefits describe this project. And this project, it's garnered a lot of support, virtually unanimous support, along the way from the beginning. And the first to support this was, of course, the city manager's office with Randy McCaslin and Greg Ferguson. Then the Friends Meeting House, they were advocates early on. The neighborhood behind the Nottingham subdivision, they've been for this project. And then Frank Amenia with Davenport, who wrote the TIA, automatically, saw the value in this road. Then in a meeting with Wright Archer, the division engineer with NCDOT on June 14th, he also saw, the value in the project. And then Herb with his planning and zoning department did as well. And then the P&Z Commission in an 8-1, vote in support of our application on, October 26th. I think one of them said, this is a no-brainer. And then finally, your legal department, Megan, thank you, has worked with us preparing the documents over the last few days and weeks. So, I just say thank you to everyone in the city who's worked on these two projects along the way. And City Council, I hope we can, be successful tonight, completing this process, here with your support. Tom and I have spoken to many of you along the way, and all of you, have helped in some way. It's taken the cooperation of a lot of folks to get here. And if Randy were here, he would attest to that statement as well as anyone. And the process hasn't been easy, but when like I said earlier, I think, we've arrived at this best outcome for all parties, and so it just seems like the time and the difficulty that it's taken has made it all worthwhile. But I'd like to close with some individual thank yous to a few folks. Again, thank you, Megan, for your legal counsel and working with Tom and Neil over the past few weeks and few days. Thank you. Herb, thank you for being an advocate early. You helped us figure out, a land plan and some appropriate uses, for this assembled parcel. I'd like to thank the city managers, Greg and Randy. Y'all have put in time and effort since October 15th of 2019. That was pre-COVID. And you've convened untold number of meetings, and I appreciate that. But I'd like to especially thank two folks. Mayor Wagner, you've had your door open and provided guidance and leadership, and I really appreciate that. And finally, Councilmember Holmes, I hold the kind of last, maybe the biggest thank you for you. You brought a lot of stakeholders together in this endeavor, from Guilford County leadership to the neighbors to all the constituents in your ward. And I know that this project's in your ward. You embraced it early, and you were an advocate for it early, and I greatly appreciate that. So thank you, and thank you both for your guidance and leadership. So, Mayor and City Council, if we're successful here tonight with your vote of confidence and your approval, we'll get up in the morning and go to work on this project. So, we would greatly appreciate your support, and I'll make myself available to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Anyone with any questions for the developer or Mr. Terrell?
No, Mr. Mayor, just one comment. This is it's been a long time. It's been a long drive if we're going to keep it in football terms. But I am so pleased for Ward 6 and what this means for my constituents in Ward 6, and it's been a pleasure to work on this, and I'm pleased that we're here at this point. So thank you for all that have been involved in this. This is a wonderful thing for the city.
Okay. Anything else from staff?
just talk about logistics tonight because there's been a couple changes that have occurred in the agenda process. So if the city council can consider the planning and zoning and annexation type issues and move through those, then we're requesting that you do suspend the rules and add the repeal of the reimbursement resolution, which needs to come off the books, and then move to the dedication agreement. So that would be the flow of those motions. Herb is here, Heidi's here. I don't think we plan on any further presentations, but they are happy to answer any questions if you have those. But if the council can just move through the items as they're listed in the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for staff before we move to votes? Okay, hearing none. I'll make a motion for approval of Plan Amendment 21-06.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of this item. Any discussion? Before we vote, the public hearing is closed. I get the thumbs up from the city attorney on that. All right. All those in favor of approval of Plan Amendment 21-06, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Next is annexation case 21-06, and I'll make a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval of annexation case 21-06, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Next item is annexation case 21-08. I'll make a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and second for approval. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval of annexation case 21-08, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Next is zoning map amendment 21-23. I will make a motion for approval and state that the zoning map amendment 21-23 is consistent with the city's adopted policy guidance because the proposed CZ-RC district would be supported by adopted policy guidance documents, including the city land use plan. Furthermore, the request is reasonable in the public interest because, as conditioned, the requested CZ-RC district would be similar and compatible with previous conditional zoning approvals granted in this area. Is there a second? Second. Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of this item. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, I will now ask for a motion to suspend the rules to add the rescission of the previously passed reimbursement agreement with Shamrock PD LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to suspend the rules to add this item. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, the rules have been suspended to add the item by unanimous vote. I'll next make a motion to rescind the resolution and the amended resolution for the reimbursement agreement with Shamrock PD. This is the item which will rescind both the August 8th, 2021 resolution, and the resolution that was amended on November 4th, 2021. I make that motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
And there's a motion and a second for the rescission. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. So next would be the item 2021-561, the dedication agreement with Shamrock PD LLC in the city of High Point for Samet Drive Extension. I make a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of this item. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, I think that does it for all of our planning and development items. We'll now move to the general business agenda, and for that, first item is a memorandum of understanding regarding High Point Regional Health. And for that, Megan, are you going to speak? Somebody going to speak to that? Okay.
This is just a memorandum of understanding with High Point Regional Health for a document that they need for their 403B program. So it's basically an acknowledgement and acceptance of the services that High Point Regional already provides to the community. So it's something that they just need for some of their regulatory compliance.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this was an item, Jim Hoekstra at the hospital contacted me regarding this, and it has to do, I believe, with a discount drug program that they handle, which enables the hospital to provide cheaper drugs to folks who are coming to the hospital. So it's a good thing for the community, and this is a item that I would like to have been able to give to him earlier, but unfortunately, we had to pass this MOU to get it done. So it's going to be good for the city to be able to do this, provide cheaper medications to our citizens.
And there's no exposure to the city and no financial burden.
Yeah, no financial commitment. This is really just something they need in their file to send to the state to be able to get this done, so.
And it's been going on for years. It's just
Yeah.
a new document that the state's asking for regulatory compliance, so
Correct.
no exposure.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, so with that, I'll make a motion for approval of this item. Is there a second?
Second.
And there's a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the appointment of the city trustee for the Environmental Remedial Trust. This is regarding our Seaboard Chemical Corporation issue, and I'm guessing the city attorney is going to speak on this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If this looks familiar to all of you, it's because you did something very similar to this, I think, a month ago or less. There are two trust funds, so this takes care of the other trust fund, especially in light of Mr. Houck's retirement. So Robbie Stone is going to be taking his place as the trustee.
Okay, this is kind of a housekeeping item, but I'll make a motion for approval of this item. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Next, we have a reinstatement of a board member on the Historic Preservation Commission. This would reinstate Janet Catania, and I move for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and there's a motion and a second for approval. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Before we adjourn, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to add a couple of items. One is the reappointment of James Tanner to the ABC Board, and the other one will be the appointment of a new mayor pro tem for the 2022. I make that motion. Is there a second to suspend the rules?
Second.
Okay. Motion and second has been made to suspend the rules to add those two items. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. First one is the reappointment of James Tanner to the ABC Board. This is someone who I believe has served well and has agreed to be reappointed and will serve through November 15th, 2024. Councilman Jones, you serve on that. Would you like to speak on that?
Sure. That board's kind of unique in that each board member has specific talents that they bring to the table. That's true with most boards, but specifically on that board, he's got a real good HR background and definitely is a valuable asset to the board with all of his knowledge of things that the rest of us don't know about. So I'm excited to see that he's willing to keep serving, and he's a pleasure to work with.
Good. Any other discussion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve that item. James Tanner reappointed to the ABC Board. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? That motion passes. Okay, on the next item, I would like to recognize Councilman Chris Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to, in his absence, I'd like to thank Mayor Pro Tem Brett Moore for his service for the past year. Brett is solid, has always been, and consistent in his decisions, unmovable, all that good stuff. But I do appreciate the service he provided in assistance to our mayor as Mayor Pro Tem. With that said, I'd like to make a motion, because of her service to our city, the character she has displayed over her full term as a member of this board, and being a heart, I would say one of the big hearts of our council, I'd like to make the motion to make Monica Peters our next mayor pro tem.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval of that item. Is there any discussion? Also, I would, Britt has done a great job. He served as mayor pro tem on multiple occasions, and I really valued his experience and his level-headed thinking, and so I want to thank him for his service to the city as mayor pro tem, and I look forward to serving with Monica and having that as a having her assist me in what I do, and I do lean on the mayor pro tem a pretty fair amount, and I know Chris has served in the past,
Yep.
and Brett has done it on multiple occasions as well, and anyone who's ever served in that position, as I did before I became mayor, you learn a lot, and it's a great opportunity to be a little more involved, and I look forward to it. So, is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Can I just add something real quick?
Yes.
So thank you so much, fellow council members. I really appreciate. And I am going to take an advanced leadership role at the UNC School of Government in February so that I can learn how to really express my vision and be a better speaker and a better leader. I've got big shoes to fill, so I'll try my best to do a great job. Thank you so much.
I'm sure you'll do fine. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if you
Yes.
could, for the clerk and the record, note that that is a one-year term.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, so we have some minutes to be approved. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes? Okay, and then I'll make a motion for approval of the minutes as stated. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? And motion, the minutes are approved. And before we adjourn, I just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2022, if not before. But another big year on the way. Lots of great new things coming in High Point, and so looking forward to that. Looking forward to working with all of you. Let's have a great holiday season. Anyone else like to speak?
I did send out an email today. I'm surprised that I'm the only one that got the ugly Christmas. Been working out a little bit, you know?
I got to get a Christmas sweater so I can take part next year, or whatever that is.
I need one of those. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, God.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adjourn. Is any discussion? Last chance for 2021. I'm still thinking about last year. Okay. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, this meeting is now adjourned.